I just finished watching Despicable Me 4, and guys, as usual with these Minions and Despicable Me movies, I really enjoyed it. It's not like these typical breakdowns that we do where it's like some hugely developed story and there's so much to talk about here and there. It's a goofy movie, it's a fun movie, but I'm here to talk about it. I'm going to go through the plot, I'm going to go through what I liked, if there's anything that I didn't like, even though I'm not sure if there's anything that I didn't like besides like the disgustingness of that cockroach. But anyways, we're going to be talking about it. Spoilers ahead. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Let's talk about Despicable Me 4. So, we start off with Gru being part of the anti-villains league. And the movie, like, just dives into it right away. They go to this big party where I guess, I don't know if it's a bunch of supervillains, but regardless, the antagonist of this movie, Maxim, is there. And what he's seemingly a normal guy, just a normal villain, but all of a sudden, he reveals himself to be, like, infused with cockroach DNA, and this is literally probably the only thing that I didn't like about the movie because it was just gross to look at. Cockroaches are disgusting. Everything about them is gross. So when he's transformed, you can hear like the little going around. Like I'm just sitting there like, and I don't want to eat my popcorn anymore. I start like feeling the hairs on my arm. You know, I don't like it. So we figure out that he has a feud with Gru because Gru ended up or supposedly stole his song from the talent show, and they had like a little bit of a feud there. Gru ends up arresting him, and he vows revenge on Gru. After he's arrested, long story short, he ends up escaping, finding his girlfriend, and what he wants to do is he wants to get back at Gru, and the only way to get back at Gru is to take his infant son, who we were going to be introduced to very shortly. But in the meantime, of course, we don't know that Maxim escaped, or at least the characters that we're viewing don't know that Maxim escaped, and we're introduced to this happy family. Gru and his wife are living great, and boom! Gru has a brand new infant son. Everybody's loving each other, everything's great, but then I don't remember what it's called, the organization, the hero organization comes in, it's like, hey, Gru, Maxim escaped. We need to move you guys to a secure location. Everybody moves. They move to this new town called Mayfield. That sounds right. They move to a new town. Doesn't really matter. And of course, they're going through all of these like beautiful rich homes. Everything's looking great. And then they come in and they just have this disgusting, horrible, horrible like house that they have. And it's like not homey at all. Regardless, the minions can't stay with them. And the poor goat and the little girl had to have this like really, really sad breakup. It's kind of like leaving your dog. Like I left today to go, at the time recording this video, I had to leave earlier today to go to my wife's mother's house, and I just feel bad leaving her. Like she is, like I'm everything to her. So this stuff like that always hits me, man. Stuff like that really, really hits me. So the goat and the little girl loved each other. They had to separate. The minions had to separate. But what the minions are doing are being tested, and this is what was in the trailer, right? The minions are being tested to become new superheroes, and I personally really love this part. Because then they go on this whole crime stopping thing. They're going to save the day. You have the minions just doing what minions do. Like, I have trouble making this video because usually I talk about all the different plot points and like what the characters are thinking, but it's just minions being minions. They're saving the wrong people. They're damaging the entire city. So they end up just sending the minions into early retirement, but some of them now have powers now. After all that gets settled, though, we're brought to a very, like, shockingly fun scene because we have a little bit of villain tendencies from Gru because Poppy, the new neighbor's daughter, knows Gru because she's an aspiring villain. So she blackmails him and saying, hey, I'm going to tell everybody who you are, which can't happen because they need to have their identities kept a secret. It's like, hey, I want to do a heist at this school. So she blackmails Gru. Gru's like, okay, let's do it. And Poppy was surprisingly likable because she was just weird when we saw her. She's just a weird teenager, and it's like, oh, I want to be evil. Like, it was just, it's dumb like the Despicable movies are. But honestly, she was kind of likable. I don't know why. It was just kind of weird. So they have this really funny heist, and again, the issue with me covering this is, what am I supposed to break down? Oh, there was this really funny moment when Gru had the diaper bag, and he was supposed to have all of his tools, but then he just ended up, I don't even remember what he cut the glass with. I have such a problem breaking this movie down, man. So they end up stealing the honey badger. That's what she wanted to steal. She wanted to steal a honey badger, the school's mascot. And it's like this vicious little thing. And there was some funny moments with that, running the halls. And the headmaster, the principal of the school, ended up finding out who they were as they were leaving. They had a successful mission, but she found them on some camera footage leaving. She knew who Gru was. She knew where Gru was going. She followed them because they took her flying carriage, like a supervillain thing. What was really funny, by the way, is when the balloon floated away and the minions were like, uh-oh. Like, it's just really fun, the movie, man. It's really fun. So, of course, Now the old lady informs Maxim about Gru's whereabouts, who has been searching everywhere for Gru since his escape. So the next day, Gru and his wife are trying to bond with the brand new neighbors who are just absolute pieces of crap, right? But they go to this tennis game, and actually, probably throughout the entire movie, I laughed at the tennis part the most because Gru didn't know how to play tennis, Gru didn't know what he was doing, and the minion just came in and saved the day and was just blowing the whistle for the most ridiculous things, and then just straight up harassing and assaulting the guy that was like the neighbor that's a little bit of a piece of crap, right? That was probably the most I've laughed throughout the movie. But anyways, the principal in the meantime goes and ends up visiting the girls, invites herself in, and she says that she's looking for Gru, who isn't supposed to be Gru. So obviously something's wrong. Gru and the wife end up rushing out of there to go back home. And the minions, because obviously there's an issue now that somebody knows who Gru is. The minions are called out of retirement. The super minions are on their way to save the day. Before anybody gets there, though, Maxim ends up kidnapping the baby Gru. I'm sorry, I don't remember the baby's name. Baby Gru. Baby Gru ends up being kidnapped. You know what's funny is my wife actually, she was talking to me throughout the movie, and I haven't really drawn this yet. I hope you don't see me as heartless over here, because I have a 3-month-old daughter, like my first kid ever, and it's been life-changing. I love her with all of my heart, right? But my wife turns to me, she's like, it's crazy how you can really feel that. And I'm like, yeah, but I feel like I would have felt that either way. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, that's going to make me sound such like a piece of crap, man. I love my daughter with all of my heart, but I separate that from the movie where it's like, I don't see it as somebody taking my daughter from me, you know? I view it as somebody else's daughter being taken from them, and that's sad. So this hit my wife harder is the huge point. She's like, could you imagine if that happened to us? I'm like, yeah, that would be horrible. But that's not where I'm drawing my emotion from the movie. I don't know if anybody else does that. I hope you understand what I'm saying here, because that's risky to say. I might even edit that out, because that I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way. She's my world. I love her with all of my heart. I would never want that to happen. But anyways, Maxim is like flying away with his, like, has the baby this way, and then Gru's like, no, you know, and it was just this really, really sad moment. Gru ends up following them. Poppy ends up saving the day, and I don't know why, again, Poppy was kind of likable. She ended up saving Gru after they had a little bit of back and forth at the beginning of the movie. And another thing I forgot to mention was throughout this movie, they've made different movie references. Like, I remember specifically with The Wife and the Terminator, they did a couple other movies as the minions were on their rampage, and now after Gru ended up fighting Maxim, they did the whole Koba and Planet of the Apes theme. And I was thinking about it as the movie was going on. I was like, are they seriously doing Planet of the Apes? Until they had that ridiculous way that Koba died, but in their own weird minion way. And I'm like, oh my god, they actually did do Planet of the Apes. It's a funny nod to all of that stuff. Like, I think Batman was in there at some point, but regardless, Gru ends up fighting Maxim. He turned the little baby into a roach, but they had this crazy moment where Gru's hanging off like Koba, or hanging off like Caesar, and then he's like talking to his baby, and he's like, it's me, I love you so much. And this was a theme throughout the movie too, where it's like Gru couldn't connect with the baby, and at the end of the movie they ended up connecting. The baby ended up saving Gru. Gru's like, oh my god, I love you so much, everything's a-okay, and Maxim just gets absolutely obliterated. We have a couple more funny moments with the minions, but then again, the movie kind of ends with a happy family, everything's okay, Gru and his son end up loving each other. But then the movie ended even better, because throughout the beginning of the movie, there was some scenes, and this is what I didn't touch on, this whole backstory of why Maxim hates Gru so much. And because Gru and him were in school, and they had the talent show, and Gru was killing it, but Gru went before Maxim and started singing the song, and he's like, Gru stole my song, Gru hates me, and his wife's like, couldn't that be a coincidence? It's a very popular song. And then at the end of the movie, Gru visits him in jail just to say, oh yeah, I just wanted to say, I chose that song to spite you. And then Maxim's like, I knew it. He started going crazy. So I actually like that they took something ridiculous like that, and Gru was actually just being a little bit evil. They end up having this sing off at the end of the movie, which is really weird. And I'm not sure if this is going to be the end of the Despicable Me movies, because they showed all of the other villains that were in jail there. But what I thought was going to happen is what that giant boulder minion was going to bust through all the walls, then all of the villains would have been set free. I thought that would have been cool personally. I don't think that there's any way that they're going to end things off here, because it's too popular, it's too good, it's too stupid where you can just make the movies about anything. Like, there was a cockroach man named Maxim who is angry at Gru because of a talent show. You can write anything. The Minions and Despicable Me will succeed, and I liked this movie just as much as I've liked all of the other ones. It's dumb, it's funny, I love watching it. I love sitting down and watching it. I love looking at my wife's face as she's laughing at the Minions. You know, it's a really good time. And I wish I could have dove deeper into this movie, but you literally can't. It's a Despicable Me and Minion movie, so you gotta take it for what it is, right? The storytelling isn't the strong point here, but I liked it. I enjoyed myself with all the Despicable Me movies. I personally like them a lot more than the Minions movies, but let me know what you thought about this down below. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for watching. If you are interested, guys, I have 2 videos for you to check out right now. One up here is a movie review diving into Inside Out, which was probably my favorite movie of the year, and another favorite movie of mine from the year is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. You can check out either of those videos right here, guys. I will see you over there or in the next video. Take care.